Do you ever feel like there might be some kind of hidden limiting belief inside your head or your heart? Maybe even a fear of success? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're afraid that you're actually not good enough to achieve your dreams, or that if you do achieve more, that people are just going to expect more from you and you'll never be able to meet their expectations. Or maybe you're afraid that more success will cost you your mental or your emotional or your physical health, or that you're going to have to sacrifice your values. Whatever your limiting belief might be, the first step is you have to face it, which means I want you to say it out loud. And most importantly, you need to write it down. So that's what I did, and it really helped me so much. First of all, naming it stopped it from being this really vague and shapeless, scary feeling that was just floating around in my head and my body. And more importantly, when I wrote it down, I could just look at those words on the page and I could distance myself enough from it to really see it objectively. Now, the second step was to get curious. So I had to ask myself, is this fear based in like scientific fact? Is it like the law of gravity? Or is it just one possibility out of many that could possibly exist? Now, of course, it was just one possibility out of many. And look, I've been with the same person for a very long time. So I just stayed curious and I asked myself, okay, Marie, has your relationship actually gotten worse the more successful you've become? And my answer to that was no. In fact, when I really looked back, I realized that we actually used to bicker and we used to fight and argue a whole lot more in those early days. And that's when I was just starting out and I wasn't nearly as successful then.
Need motivation?
Watch your top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because in my first business, I quit on my business partner. I struggled to keep going. I was making $300 a month and felt like a complete failure. And the thing that saved me, that pulled me up, was studying the stories of famous entrepreneurs. I got the motivation from them. I also got the strategies of what to do next so that I can go off and achieve my dreams. And quite honestly, I still need the stories today myself to continue my motivation to take it to the next level. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Marie Forleo, and my take on her top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Rule number 2 is find clarity.
I'm going to show you how to get clarity on almost anything. So if you're anything like me, there are situations that come up in your business, in your career, in your life that you're like, I don't know which to choose. I could go either which way. Why don't I have the clarity I need? And oftentimes we're so used to looking to other people, calling our friends, calling experts, hiring coaches, looking to books, looking to all the external information, instead of remembering that we have this incredible well of internal wisdom that is always available inside us. Yet most of us don't know how to tap into it. We don't know how to listen. So here are my 2 best practices for getting that clarity and finding it from the inside out. Practice number 1 is something I call tapping into your higher, wiser future self. So all of us have another self that is coexisting with this one. And I like to think of it as my kinder, more expansive, more experienced, wiser future self. So whenever I find myself in a conundrum, here's what I do. Rather than going with my mind, which thinks, I like to go with my heart, which always knows. And here's how I get there. So I put my hand over my heart, I close my eyes, and I really ask, I say, all right, higher, wiser, future self Marie, what do you really know to be true about this situation? Is it a yes? Is it a no? What does it feel like inside? What's the wisdom that you have to offer me right now? And then I wait and I actually listen. Again, most of us have so much information coming to us at all different times from our computers, our text, our email, social media, you name it. There's so much noise from the external world that we've forgotten that this beautiful version of us exists if we can actually hear it. So again, putting your hand on your heart, tapping into that higher, wiser, kinder, more experienced, beautiful future self that already exists in another dimension, and asking, what's the truth for me in this situation? What do I need to know? What do I need to understand? What's the best next move that's going to support my growth and who I need to ultimately become? Now, the most uncomfortable part is usually hanging out in silence and feeling what arises from within. And here's what I've learned about the messages that come from our higher, wiser future self. They're never harsh. That voice doesn't speak in a critical tone. It usually whispers, and it communicates with simplicity and clarity. Sometimes it might, for me, come in words. Oftentimes it comes in body sensations. Like I can feel a sense of dread about moving in a particular direction versus another. I can feel a sense of lightness about moving in a certain direction rather than another. Or one feels just more fun and more easy rather than another. So give that a try the next time that you might be feeling like you've lost your way, you're unclear about how to move forward, and that you're too busy listening to external voices rather than your own. And if you don't get the clarity that you need with that little practice, here's my next one. So this is something called automatic or guided writing. I got to tell you, this was something I used consistently when I was writing my book, Everything is Figureoutable, because I kept running into so many struggle points. Oh my gosh, I felt like I was beating my head against a wall. I didn't have clarity. God, which chapter first or which information to put where? And it was so torturesome because I was putting so much pressure on myself to get this book right. I wanted to do a really great job for everyone. Anyway, the practice of guided writing saved my butt. And here's what you do. So guided writing is this journaling practice where you tap into that higher, wiser, more conscious you, and you give it voice on the page. Just let your hand start moving on the page. And I promise you, if you ask with intention and you allow yourself to just start letting words come through, you will be shocked at the wisdom that shows up.
Rule number 3 is set deadlines for yourself.
First up, it's important to remember that deadlines exist for a reason, because they really work. So lots of psychological research has been done to back this up, right? To back up the power of deadlines. So for example, Dan Ariely did a study several years back where he had 3 different groups of students. Some were given no deadlines. Others created their own deadlines, and then a third group had to stick to the deadlines set by their professor. Guess what happened? At the end of the semester, it turned out that the students with no deadlines performed the worst, and the students with externally imposed deadlines performed the best. So the bottom line is that yes, even though deadlines can sometimes be uncomfortable and annoying, they are a fantastic tool to help us perform better and actually get things done. It's really about making a choice, right? You need to have an honest look in your heart and ask yourself, what is truly most important to me at this stage and season of my life? Is it getting this project done in 3 months, a year, whatever time frame it is? Or is it more important for me to just enjoy this creative process and allow the thing to unfold as it unfolds? And then once you're clear on that, once you decide what's most important, you need to be at peace with your choice and do not torture yourself with the alternative. So if you decide that getting this thing done in a particular time frame is really most important, then be smart about it. And yes, create a deadline for yourself. And look, it doesn't have to be this crazy intense deadline or be one that like freaks you out. But again, deadlines work. They are proven to help us get things done and perform at our best.
Rule number 4 is create a success plan.
I never start my day without a success plan. You might be saying, Marie, what is a success plan? Let me tell you, it is a way better version than a to-do list. So I'm going to show you mine right now. It's on a simple little notebook. This is like a $2 notebook. You don't need anything fancy or expensive. And I write down the most important things that I will get done the next day. So today's success plan. I write down the meetings that I had. Like here, I know I had a little meeting with my friend Regina to help her out with her pricing. There were things I needed to do to prepare. I'm giving a couple of big talks coming up soon. So I have all of my notes to rehearse. I have my meetings in here, and then there's a little section at the end for like personal stuff, like return my Rent the Runway, and then I need to leave at 6:30 to get to a friend's place for dinner. So I never walk into my day without my success plan. As someone who has ADHD, it's not a wise thing to walk into an open day and go, well, what do I feel like doing? Or what might be the most important? I'm the queen of reverse engineering and setting myself up to give myself the greatest chance possible for feeling successful every damn day.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3
favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Rule number 5 is stop comparing to others.
How does one not become frustrated and jealous of those who are achieving the things you so desperately want? I want to be happy for them, but part of me feels like there are limited spots on the podium. Thanks so much. Love, Britt. Britt, this is a great question. Now, I want you to know something. I have never met one creative entrepreneur, present company included, who hasn't felt frustrated or upset when they feel like other people are just zooming past them. So you are not alone. But the short answer here is no, there are not limited spots on the podium. We do not live in a zero-sum world, and there is more than enough opportunity to go around for everyone. However, the comparison impulse is really what's crushing you here. It's addictive and it's deadly, and it will destroy your business and your happiness if you let it. So first and most importantly, my friend, put down the Comparschlager. Britt, you have got to go cold turkey. People say comparison is the thief of joy. I've called it the hamburglar of happiness. But when it comes to your small business, it gets even more dire because comparison really is the robber of results, the pillager of profits, the pickpocket of prosperity. And those are 3 things that every entrepreneur needs in order to survive. This is serious, Britt, because every time you do a shot of Comparschlager, you are slowly killing any chance your small business has of succeeding. You know, most people don't realize it, but they actually waste hours every single day comparing themselves to others. And the only way to stop is by cutting yourself off. So take a look at your habits. Are you following certain people on social media? Are you constantly checking certain websites and then feeling like crap after? Identify the specific behavior patterns that just trigger you and stop it. Here's a hint. Don't rely on willpower. Unfollow people you compare yourself to on social media if that's one of your vices. Even better, take those apps off your damn phone, woman. Do the equivalent on your laptop too.
Rule number 6 is know your priorities.
Decide what's most important to you at this stage and season of your life. Our priorities can and should change as we grow and evolve, right? I mean, the creative projects or the things that we want to focus on, they're going to be different depending on whether we're a teenager or we're in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and so on. It's also going to be very different depending on our life circumstances, our health, our family responsibilities, like that. So I want you to take a look at your big list, right, of all your creative ideas. And really, I need you to get real with yourself. So out of everything that you wrote down, what is the single most important project that you want to focus on this year? What is truly most important to you creatively at this current stage and season of your life? I don't want you to listen to your head now. I need you to tap into your heart. So for example, from 2018 to 2019-ish, the very most important creative project for me at that time was writing and publishing Everything is Figureoutable, right? So I consciously decided that that was the most important creative project, and that decision allowed me to focus on that and hardly anything else. Then, when I think back to the beginning of 2021, I decided that my most important creative project for me for the next about 6 months was going to be giving birth to my Time Genius program, deciding what's most important for you to create at this specific stage and season of your life, whether that's the next 6 months, 12 months, 36 months, doesn't really matter. Once you know what's most important to you right now, it becomes so much easier to ignore what's not.
Rule number 7 is build your dream business.
a dream business, which is possible for every entrepreneur, including you. So a dream business gives you, and get ready for it, it's another acronym, dependable, reliable income. Sure. I mean, in every business, right? Numbers go up and down. That's normal. But when you have a dream business, you're not digging yourself into a financial hole, right? It's also rewarding financially, yes, but in all these other ways too, like creatively and emotionally. It's also energizing. It's abundance generating. And most importantly, it makes a difference to your audience and to you. So in other words, your business runs like a well-oiled machine and it helps you live your dream life. You know, I've been coaching people to create this kind of business for years. So I know for a fact that it's possible for you and every entrepreneur. You can have that profitable, freedom-giving dream business as long as you put a few key strategies into place.
Rule number 8 is conquer self-doubt.
I want to believe in me more without having the results yet in. I'm struggling with being paralyzed by fear of, oh my God, my finances are not where they should be, and I don't feel secure. On the other hand, I know what I'm capable of, I know my strengths, but there is a gap, and the gap is believing in me. So how can I help myself believe in me more, even when the results are not in?
Your question about confidence, right? And about feeling like there is this gap and it is about confidence. It's something that all of us can relate to. I've certainly experienced it. I know so many people in our audience have, and I just want to thank you for being brave and for talking about it. So there's so much that I have to share. I might ask you some questions along the way,
Please.
But one of the first things I wanted to just bring to this conversation is that gap between your ambition and your achievement. That is something that we are all always experiencing because we're all always in transition, right? Between something that we want to create and the actual experience of it being in reality.
Yes.
And I want to invite you to consider that confidence isn't actually what you need, and it's not what you're lacking.
True.
What I believe from my point of view is that you need to take more action, massive action. I'm going to give you a little mantra that you can try on and play with, but this is something that has helped me so much. I love you that you're going to write this down because that's how I do everything and it helps me train this brain of mine.
Yes.
So starve your doubts, feed your dreams. Starve your doubts, feed your dreams. When we talk about doubts, which are really a subset of fear, the fear that we're not good enough, that we don't have what it takes. And I love that in your question, you also said, you know, there's this other side of me that knows I'm really capable, that absolutely feels it's on its way, but this self-doubt is kind of keeping me in this place. I always think of things in terms of energy and vibration. And the more energy and attention you give to fear or self-doubt, it's like a wolf that you feed and it gets bigger and bigger. It's kind of like anything in life, right? If we feed it, if we give it energy, it continues to build on itself. And the action of fear is always to create more fear. So it's a very low vibration and it can pull you in and it can feel overwhelming and all encompassing and global, like nothing is possible. But the vibration I want you to stay in is the vibration of creation.
Rule number 9 is learn to manage time.
How do you prioritize your time and how do you manage your time when you still have a day job and you are just starting your business? And you have many big ideas and a huge vision and very little time to implement things. What would you advise and what are your thoughts on this?
First thing, I don't know if you know this, there was actually quite a big study done in the US where they tracked about 5,000 entrepreneurs over 14 years. And guess what they found? That entrepreneurs who started companies while they still had a day job were 33% less likely to fail. Meaning,
wow.
Yes. And so I always like to trot out that little study because that was me when I started my business. I had multiple day jobs, and I know so many successful business owners who started off with day jobs. So I just want you to let you know that you are in very good company, and it doesn't have to be a limitation. I think it could actually be a strength in more ways than just your company surviving, but really training you to pay attention to what matters most and how to really focus your time and your energy in a way that is effective and impactful and that helps you get the move the needle done kind of activities and leave away all of the fluff. So my first question for you is, are you more of a morning person or an evening person? Meaning, do you find that you get like your best ideas and your clearest thinking and your most energy in the morning, or at night? Are you like, oh my goodness, I just can't go to sleep because this brain and I want to do all the things? Which type do you tend to be?
Morning, for sure. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. And then my second question was this: what kind of business are you starting?
I am coaching women to heal their relationship with food and with their bodies.
Beautiful.
So,
okay. Love this. So morning person, and you're starting a coaching and an information service-based business. Yes? Okay. So here is my answer to your question. If I were you and I was you, this is what I did. I carved out non-negotiable time every single day. And for me, I'm a morning person as well. I still do this to this day when I'm working on big new projects that are apart from my day job of running the business.
Yeah.
That non-negotiable time in the morning is miraculous. It helped me get my book done. It helped me create the new program that I'm inviting you. You need to get your butt in it. Time Genius.
Yeah.
It has helped me accomplish every major thing that I've ever wanted to create and put out into the world, especially when I was short on time.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is take action now.
The question I want you to answer today, and I'm going to get to that in just a few minutes, is inspired by a quote by Ms. Karen Lamb. A year from now, you'll wish you had started today. Now, here is why I love this quote. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you've already accomplished, because every single one of us has got some next goal or some next creative dream that we want to bring to life, right? I mean, everyone has something that they want to make happen. And here's the deal. The next 365 days, those days are going to come and go no matter what. I mean, 1 year from now, you're either going to be living that dream that's in your heart right now, and you're going to be bringing that thing to life, or you're going to be sitting on the sidelines like a sad sack. And I got to tell you, I do not want that for you. You're either going to have made one whole year of amazing progress, or no progress whatsoever. In fact, if we're honest, right, we might even backslide a bit, because if you don't take action, backsliding is what tends to happen to all of us, right?
Damn, Marie, your beard game is tight.
I don't play, dude. I started this shit like a year ago.
Damn, I wish I started then.
Sad sack.
I'm here to say to you right now, do not shortchange yourself. Because when it comes to the really important things in life, like your business, like your relationships, your health, all of it is about the long game. Those small steps that you take every single day, as long as you take them now and you keep taking them, they're going to pay off 1,000-fold down the road. But your life won't change on its own. You have to start taking action today. And that's what this quote is all about. Look, I'm going to be honest. We all ain't getting any younger here. Our time on this planet is so damn precious. You are so damn precious. If there's anything that you want to do in this world, anything that you want to create or experience or achieve, you have got to stop procrastinating. Stop saying tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. Now is the time, my friend. This moment, this instant. Now, that said, here is the cue that I want you to A. What's the one thing that you want to do or experience or achieve that a year from now you will be so damn happy and proud of yourself for starting today? And this is the most important step. You know me, right? What's the one action step that you can take right now to start bringing whatever that is to life? Where you are in your life, it's all about being creative and exploring and learning exactly what you're doing. And here's the thing, you're probably going to change what you want to do for a career many times between now and when you finish your formal education, and even as an adult too. Now, for everybody else, especially if you're an adult and you're still asking yourself, what should I be when I grow up? Hopefully this will help you too. Instead of asking, what should I do? A way more powerful and useful question to ask yourself is, who do I want to be? Meaning, what kind of person do you want to be in this world? What's the energy that you want to bring to anything that you actually do? So here's the thing. This is a very different question to ask yourself, and it'll get you completely different results. After all, you are a human being, not a human doing, and who you are shows up in everything that you do. So Kristen, I want you to sit down and really ask yourself, who do I want to be in this world? Do I want to be loving, kind, inclusive? Do I want to be playful, engaged, compassionate? Really think through what being qualities are most important to you. Maybe it'll be being artistic and sharing your art with the world. Maybe it'll be being helpful and being a leader. Then just ask yourself, how can I take what's already in my heart and express this into the world? What can I do right now to express exactly who I am and who I want to be? When I'm feeling lost, that's what I do. I ask myself, well, who do I want to be right now? And the answer that most often pops up is loving and helpful. So then I say, okay, well, how can I spread some love right now? How can I be helpful and give to somebody else? And when I ask myself those questions, I often get intuitive flashes about things like projects I need to take on or things I need to go do, or sometimes it's as simple as picking up the phone and reaching out to someone and giving them some love. I needed to put into practice 3 simple words that would go on to change the entire trajectory of my career, my business, and my life. I still use these 3 words to this day. Are you ready for them? I want you to write them down. Simplify to amplify. One more time. Simplify to amplify. What does that mean? Simplify to amplify means that you deliberately focus on fewer things, but you execute them on a way higher level. You see, in a culture that's constantly pushing us, pressuring us to do more, to be more, to have more, to make things more complex, I chose to flip that script. I was like, I'm not going for the crazy. I'm gonna do less, and I'm gonna do it better than anyone in the world. And that's what I did. I proactively chose to walk away from over $1 million in annual revenue. Now, let's be real. As an entrepreneur, was that scary? Oh my God, I was terrified. At that particular stage in my business, $1 million coming from the background that I come from, that was more money than I'd ever thought I'd see in my whole damn life. So no, that decision was not easy and it was not comfortable. And my peers at that time thought I was nuts. I remember one saying to me like, Marie, what are you doing? This is crazy. These 2 offerings, like people are loving them. They're bringing in so much money. You're just getting traction. Why are you doing this? My heart and my intuition, my inner wisdom knew what was up. It knew that this simplify to amplify path was the way for me to get to that joyful and impactful and profitable life I desired. Now, like me, maybe there's some things in your life right now that you're ready to sunset. Maybe there's some things for you that you might have outgrown. Now look, I get it. It's scary. And it's even scarier if the things you're considering walk away from are actually working. When there's nothing wrong, when they're making you money, when they're good enough. But when your heart, when your soul is telling you that you are meant for more, when you know there's another possibility for you if you only make the space, you have to have the courage to step back, to reassess and recreate your own success on a much higher level. I like learning from a lot of different people with no anticipation or expectation that one person's got to take me under their wing. That feels like too much pressure to me and not really the kind of relationship I honestly want to have with anyone. But no matter what your perspective is, there are loads of ways to get the guidance and that support that you desire, and you can do it starting right now. Here are 6 ways to help get you started. Number 1, you do not need to meet someone to be mentored by them. When I was first getting started, and it's something I still do to this day, I often got mentored by people I have never even met. I did it on my own schedule, through books and tapes and interviews. Something we often take for granted is how much effort it takes to write a book or deliver a speech or give a great interview. Those things contain people's best thoughts, all their experiences and all of their lessons, and they're there for you to review and revisit as much as you want. And these days, oh my goodness, with podcasts and online content seemingly coming out of every freaking orifice, you have got mentorship opportunities up the wazoo. It's literally an explosion of free mentorship.
An explosion of free mentorship. Explosion! It's combustible. Free wisdom experiences. With the Business Smarts go head to head. Business Smart. Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey, and Sir Richard Branson.
Number 2, don't look for one, look for many. I want you to be a swinger, all right? You've heard of polyamory? Try polymentory. In other words, do not put so much pressure on one relationship. It's not wise emotionally or intellectually. Look, if you're only getting advice from one person, you're missing out on hearing and learning from different points of view. And let's be honest, no one person is going to have all the answers. So rather than looking for mentorship from just one person, focus your efforts on building a strong network of relationships, and not all of them should be with people who appear to be higher than you on the success totem pole. Here's what I mean. Number 3, do not always look up, look to the side. So some of my most trusted advisors are people I consider peers. I'm not a person who puts a lot of emphasis on social hierarchy as it is, but when you're looking for people to connect with and learn from, do not underestimate the power of looking to your colleagues too. They might actually be behind you or maybe just a little bit ahead, so to speak. But here's why they are super valuable. Because oftentimes they're closer to resolving the kinds of challenges and issues that you're struggling with right now. And when you talk with people who are so far beyond where you're currently at in your journey, they often don't even deal with the kind of problems that you're dealing with anymore. So their advice may not be as relevant or tactical. Also, they might be good at things that you're not, your colleagues. And so you guys can help each other, which means everybody wins. Number 4, be specific, not vague. So one of the main reasons that people want to have a mentor in the first place is so they can shorten their learning curve and avoid making common mistakes. Well, here's one super common mistake that you can avoid whether you have an official mentor or not. When you ask questions, be specific, not vague. So for example, in your experience, what's the best membership site plugin out there if my budget is under $1,000 per year? Now that is a way better question than, hey, will you mentor me in my online business? Bottom line, you are much more likely to get help if you ask for advice on how to solve a specific problem versus wanting someone to direct your entire project or your career. Number 5 is earn respect and trust through action. So this one is so huge. If there's someone out there that you really want to learn from, you got to be a true and devoted fan. So buy their books and leave reviews. Be a customer of their business if that makes sense. If someone teaches, go take their courses or their workshops and be a stellar standout student. If they speak, go buy a ticket, show up. And if you can, introduce yourself. And if they have an online presence, be a consistent, thoughtful, and engaged supporter. You want to let them know that their work affected you in some way. Like tell them, how did it improve your life? Or how did it help you get results? Because people love hearing that they've had an impact. And look, as you've shared, people that are creating really cool things in this world are busy, like insanely busy. And it's not that they're ungenerous or they're narcissistic or they're stingy. They're usually just incredibly creative people who are stretched to the max to deliver on their mission. So the way that you earn trust and respect is by showing up in their world with a genuine, generous, and non-agenda filled heart. You cannot be needy. You cannot be attached to an outcome. And of course, you cannot force someone to notice you. But I guarantee if you're a consistent true fan, you're going to learn so much about how they operate simply by observing them and engaging with what they do. And that will teach you a ton in and of itself. Number 6, do great work in the world. So this one is the most important step if you want to develop real relationships with people you admire. So start building up your body of work. Be consistent. Hustle your buns off. Nobody wants to start a business relationship with someone who isn't out there busting their hump and actually doing the work. So realize that if you stay focused on the quality of your work and you truly care for your people, so your customers, your clients, your fans, your colleagues, your bosses, whichever term fits for you, you will get noticed, guaranteed. Most people try and figure out major life decisions in their heads, and you just can't do that. It never works. You have to actually take action in one direction or another and start to feel your way. So when you go balls to the wall doing something, you actually feel the feedback and you're going to know whether or not it's the right direction for you. So here's another strategy that you can use, and it's a question that you can ask yourself when anything is major in your life. You need to know whether to move ahead or whether just to let it go. This is the question that I asked when I was considering whether or not I should move ahead professionally and go for being a professional dancer. Now, you have to know this. When I was making this decision, it was when I was, I think, around 24, 25, which in the dance world, that means I was older than dirt. Like, people are retiring from their dance career at that age, and I just wanted to start mine. So here's the question. In 10 years, will I regret not having done this? If you're honest with yourself, you're going to get an immediate answer to that question. So for me, when I asked about professionally dancing, I knew that if I didn't go for it right then and there, that I was going to regret it in 10 years. So I just got my ass to work and started dancing. Finally, let's tackle the online branding part of your question. So you asked, when it comes to decide or figure out if I should combine all my passions, music, online business, yada, 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 in one brand or more, in one brand, or should I just focus on one niche? Any tips? Yes. You have got to focus down first. You really need to get specific and choose just one thing to be an expert in, just one thing to focus on so you can kill it. That's really the secret to dominate, especially when you're starting an online business. Now, here's the thing I want you to know. Just because you're focusing on one thing doesn't mean you're ignoring your other passions. So let's say you chose to focus on social media marketing. It's not like you can't talk about your love of music or your love of fitness in your About page. You're just not going to try and do all of those things at once in an online business. Once you kill it with one specific niche in an online business, it's very easy then to broaden out and start to include more things, but you're gonna get yourself into trouble if you try and do too many things at once. When it comes to online business, our man Confucius has it dialed in. He says, "He who chases 2 rabbits catches none." I think understanding your risk averseness as a human being is very important. And let me tell you what that means. For me, financially speaking, I'm fairly risk averse. So because of my upbringing, because of this kind of perpetual financial scarcity that there was, I'm not the kind of person who's just going to burn the ships behind me and say, okay, I'm quitting my job, at the magazines, and let me just start this coaching business and figure it out. It was like, no, I went back to bartending and waiting tables pretty much 7 days a week because that's what it took to keep the roof over my head and eating food while I figured out this life coaching business. So I would say for anyone listening right now, if you're thinking about quitting, take a look inside. What's your risk averseness? There's a study that was done in the United States. They tracked about 14,000 entrepreneurs, and they found that those who kept their day job as they started their business were 33% less likely to fail. And so I think for anyone listening, it's like, okay, well, you may quit this job, but is there any other circumstance, whether you take another type of job, you go part-time, like what is going to be the kind of financial runway or situation that you need to give yourself an ability to see if this business could work, if starting a business is what you want to do? I don't think that there is any human on the planet who, at any given time, doesn't have at least one habit that really needs to get kicked to the curb. Well, it turns out that there's a simple 2-word fix that can dramatically increase our ability to resist temptation, and it gives us a better chance to make a better choice. Now, this is based on research done by Dr. Vanessa Patrick. She's a professor of marketing at the University of Houston who published her findings on the power of self-talk in the Journal of Consumer Research. She found that when participants framed a refusal as I don't, for instance, I don't eat chocolate cake or I don't eat sugar, instead of I can't, they were more successful at resisting the desire to eat unhealthy foods or skip the gym. In fact, they found that when it came to deciding whether to eat certain foods, saying I don't was nearly 3 times as effective as saying no and about 8 times more effective than saying I can't. Very interesting, right? I don't versus I can't. 2 teeny tiny words that can make a ginormous difference. And here's why. When we say I don't, we are empowered. We're determined. We are at choice. It's a tough, strong phrase like end of story. But when we say I can't, we disempower ourselves. It sounds like we're not allowed to do something by some outside force. You know what? We make ourselves feel deprived when we say I can't. And in essence, we make ourselves weak, whiny little bitches like, wah, I can't have a cookie. Now, what's even cooler, though, is that we can tuck this little trick into every corner of our lives. We can start making some clear, strong declarations like this. I don't eat Skinny Pop every night. I don't look at my phone during dinner.
I don't unnecessarily zhuzh the MarieTV set.
I don't put the toilet seat down.
I don't refer to everyone whose name I don't immediately remember as chimichanga.
I don't show up to the set of MarieTV nude. Starting tomorrow.
I don't stay up until 3 a.m. watching bear attack videos, rubbing fried chicken all over my thighs.
I don't say no to new experiences.
I don't shave.
Pretty awesome, right? Today's question, it comes from Julia, and she writes, Hi, Marie. I don't dream really big about my company development. I don't want a Porsche or to hire people or to be the chief general manager person. I'm interested in a life with a really good steady income, bit of a paradox when having a company, and doing what I like to do on my own while still having enough time for people I care about. So in general, is not having a plan for a big business with 20 plus workers a really bad thing? Regards from Poland, smiley face, Julia. Julia, I absolutely love this question because it gives me a chance to talk about something I don't get a chance to talk about nearly enough. Not given a flying fudge about what other people think about how you should live your life or build your business, nor should you be spending any of your precious life energy trying to conform to some made-up standard about how big you should dream. Now, back in the day, we were all taught that we should get a good job, we should get a family, a house, have some security and play it safe. That was the old American dream, really the old should. But these days, it's really starting to feel like dreaming big is the new should. That somehow if you're not dreaming big, you probably have small dream shame. That if you don't dream really, really huge, somehow you're not ambitious enough, you're not smart enough, and you're not valuable enough in this world. This idea is totally and absolutely not true. Small dream shame is total BS. And for so many people, dreaming big is actually crushing their soul. You want to know who's not a victim of small dream shame? My parents. My parents moved out to Vegas from New Jersey, and I recently went out there for a weekend visit. Now, their Vegas is not the Vegas that most people think of. So they're not living in some penthouse in the Mandalay Bay. They would never ever want that. They live in a quiet little residential neighborhood. Their house is so simple. Their life is so simple, and they absolutely love it that way. They have no desire to eat at fancy places like Nobu. You want to know their favorite place in Vegas? It's a tiny little casino that has an amazing buffet, and 3 people can eat for $20. Yes, $20. And they told me this probably about 6 times. It got them so excited, and it got me excited for them. Now, world travel, traveling around the world, no interest at all. They do not want to be high rollers.
They don't even gamble. You want to hear this one? They got themselves their own slot machine and they filled it up with their own change so they can win what they already have. Now, some people may say, oh, that sounds crazy. I think it sounds amazing. They are so happy. They're not living small, they're living large, and it's so inspiring to me. I'm also inspired by this, even if it sounds a little morbid. In the top 5 regrets of the dying, author Bronnie Ware discovered this. The number 1 regret of the dying is wishing they had the courage to live the life they wanted to live, not the one others had expected of them. The bottom line is that we have to think and dream independently. Each of us comes to Earth with our own unique assignment, and each of our dreams, no matter the size or scope, is valuable and perfect exactly as is.
What does it take to build like just such a large personal brand and impact so many people?
Well, I think tremendous patience. Tremendous patience. So sometimes people are like, Marie, what was like your breakthrough moment, or what was the moment when everything changed? I was like, there wasn't one. I'm very much a worker bee. I'm very much the person who keeps my head down and just focuses on the work itself, the quality of the work. And virtually every opportunity, and this probably goes against what a lot of other folks would tell you or maybe their experience, so I'm just going to speak truth into what has been mine, where I have always just kept my attention on how can I make the highest quality work. And when I say that, it's not about it like looking perfect, although we do have aesthetic standards and I like things to feel a particular way because I think it speaks to emotion and heart, and that's important to me. But more importantly, it's about helping people create results with the content and creating structures and making sure that things are actionable and that they're clear, and that if someone actually took on our advice or used one of our products or our programs and they did it with good faith, that their results would just be so off the charts, their life would greatly transform. So I've never had a PR person. I still don't. We've never done any type of campaign to like get me on Oprah or anything like that. It has all been a result in my own belief system of that folks have noticed the quality of it.
I think people may not get this about me, especially if they're somewhat new to watching the show. Yeah. I am one of the least social people. Like, I enjoy doing this. And Angela, you and I have worked together, you know, in B school and stuff like that. And it's like, I love being with y'all, but I decline like 99.9% of like in-person parties. Like, I'm a homebody. I am super happy at home. I am super happy just being with Josh. I am super happy just being in nature. So even though I'm able to do this because, again, I care so much about the mission and making a difference, and I'm a professional, so I show up and do what I'm here to do. But it's not like if you develop the ability to communicate effectively through your business that you all of a sudden change who you are and you have to be on all the time, 24/7, always like selling. No, it doesn't have to be like that. So for anyone who feels like, oh, I'd love to start a business or I'd love to grow my business, but I feel like I have to become someone else to do it, Angela and I are both telling you, no.
You know, nearly every person I know has struggled with this. For me, that feeling of I should be further ahead by now totally dominated my early 20s. I was in constant angst and it was really painful. And in my work, I've heard the same struggle from people in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s and 60s and 70s, etc. I believe this is a sickness that we human beings have. And if you don't get a handle on this thing right now, you will continue to feel empty and desperate and hopeless no matter what you do or no matter what you achieve. Now, the good news is that there are only 2 things that you need to do in order to heal yourself from this sickness. And it's important to note that these are not one-time actions, my dear. These are conscious choices that you have to make each and every single day. Number 1, I want you to adore your detours. So what does that mean? You gotta ask yourself, have you ever taken a road trip? Probably so. Sometimes you don't get to your destination at the time that you thought you would because you took a little detour. Maybe you decided at the last minute, you know what? We want to take the scenic route. You have got to trust the timing of your life. You have to trust that you made the best choices you could have possibly made at the time, because guess what? You made them. And trust that every experience taught you something that you need to know right now.
What would you say to people that, you know, I guess they're stuck, they're frustrated, they've been trying to get a business off the ground, or they're kind of, things just aren't working I'd love to hear what your thoughts are and take.
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard to answer in the abstract, but we'll try and poke into it from a few different points of view. So to your point, somebody doesn't want it bad enough. I think many times that can be true. So if we take your premise that entrepreneurship is kind of like the new cool thing to do and everybody wants to do it, I think sometimes it's over glammed and folks think it might be easier or the success will come faster than perhaps they think it should. And so they get very discouraged. One of the ideas that we talk about in the book is this idea of progress, not perfection. And we talk about the fact that anything that's worth figuring out could be a business, could be your health, could be a relationship, anything. It's about the long term, not the short term. And so that's one piece of it. But I think in terms of feeling stuck, I think we all really can feel stuck in our lives from time to time. But if you do embed this belief, everything really is figure outable, it gives you this energy to get up and go again. And get up and go again. And the initial idea that you had perhaps for the business or the product or whatever it is that you want to sell, that might not work. But if you keep going in that direction and you keep challenging yourself to be creative and innovative, take feedback on, look at things from a new point of view, you might wind up pivoting and going someplace else. So for example, in my own life, the business I started 20 years ago is not the business that I run today. And I think to survive as an entrepreneur, you have to be incredibly nimble and flexible and to keep evolving yourself. Otherwise you get left in the dust. So I don't know if that helps put a frame on, or give an answer to your question, but I think that I would say to someone, whatever it is that you want to figure out, you have got to be willing to devote the lion's share of your time, energy, and effort to this thing for the foreseeable future. It's a long game. It's a really long game. And if you're not willing to, I think that's a red flag that this may not be the thing for you. Everything worthwhile that I've figured out, I've been willing to say, you know what, no matter how long this takes, I'm into it. I may have to do it just a little bit every day. I might not be able, based on my other obligations or responsibilities, I might not be able to devote 10, 15 hours a day to this, but I'm going to chip away and chip away and chip away until I conquer it.
Because you made it this far in the video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome.
For 10 more amazing rules from Mel Robbins, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
And the reason why I say that is because people talk about the word passion or purpose.
Right.
And the truth is, it's not a person, place, or a thing. It is the feeling of being expanded and energized.
Right.